That was really pretty, wasn't it? Yeah. Thank you, Bill. Good morning and welcome to All Souls Unitarian Universalist Congregation in New London, Connecticut. I'm Caitlin O'Brien, Associate Minister, and leading worship with me this morning is Tony Rose. So good to have you with us this morning, Tony. The Nahantic and Mohegan people were the traditional caretakers of the land on which we gather, so we honor and pay respect to their communities and to their ancestors as we begin. Today is the third in a series of services entitled Praise the Mutilated World, an invitation to be in a space of awe toward the natural world, despite its challenges, despite its wounds. This morning we will direct our awe, Tony and I, toward the wonder of water. We welcome you to this space of awe, and as always, we welcome you to All Souls, where all souls are welcome. You're joyfully called to worship. Please rise in body and or in spirit to sing our opening hymn, Morning Has Broken. Whether you're online or here in Unity Hall, we ask that if you're new to All Souls, that you either raise your hand or say a hello in the chat. We love to welcome our new members and new visitors. We've come to the moment. Hello, Janet. Janet is here with George Fargo this morning, who has traveled from Maine. So say hey to George, and this is the time in the service when we greet one another and offer one another the peace that's within our hearts. So in the chat, you might want to say a word of peace, and here in Unity Hall, let's stick to elbows as we greet one another joyfully. Let's pass the peace. do this.
So as Reverend Caitlin lights our chalice, please speak with me the words in our order of worship. Remember June's long days and wild strawberries, drops of wine, the dew. Return in thought of the concert where music flared. Praise the mutilated world, the gray feather of a bird lost. Stays. Please, we must pray, please. Let's praise the mutilated world. And Reverend Caitlin will light our peace candle for the work of water diplomacy. Access to the resources of clean water can be a source of tension among communities. Water diplomacy recognizes that collaborating to care for shared rivers or groundwater aquifers is a profound way to concretely foster peace as we all work to build up our climate resilience. We light this candle for the importance of water diplomacy.
Thank you, Tony. Today's reading was written by Emmett Jarrett, founder of the Homeless Hospitality Center and co-founder of St. Francis House, both in New London. It's called Earth and Sea and Sky. It is clearer in Gloucester, where the earth drops off sharply. The steep rocks plunge into the water. The sea stretches out to the horizon, where it meets the sky. On Patmos, I imagine the poet Bob Lax's long face as he lies, stretched out on the beach, and watches the water and hears the lapping of waves. He doesn't need to look up to see the sky. Color of wine reflected from the Aegean Sea. From my window in New London, I see streetlights shimmering in the fog. The occasional auto driving down J Street, or ambulance flashing red lights on the way to the hospital. I know the water is there. Thames estuary emptying into the Long Island Sound, the same Atlantic Ocean as at Gloucester. I don't need to see the sky full of promise after sun's bath. Like a runner in the hills, I can feel the pleasure of earth and sea and sky awaiting my arrival. Here ends the reading.
Thank you, Caitlin. I know I'm preaching to the choir, bear with me here, so hopefully I have a message. So water, water everywhere, and all the boards did shrink. Water, water everywhere, and not a drop to drink. Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner by Coleridge, about 200 years ago, very prophetic. The albatross around the neck, which is what our climate has become for us. I do consider myself a bit of an ancient mariner. About 50 years ago, I went into the Coast Guard Academy, and I am here today as a last-minute stand-in for a Navy sailor who was called to duty today. And the Coast Guard does have a long history of bailing out the Navy, by the way. So I am grateful for this opportunity. I spent several months in 2016 in the desert Southwest backpacking and got an appreciation for what being thirsty is really like and having to scrounge for water. Often carrying a 70-pound backpack all day, we would have to go look for cottonwood trees where there might be enough water just to get us through the night. And this could take a couple of hours. In many countries, women and young girls do this every day. I witnessed this on a fellowship in Tanzania. The girls fetched water after school all day, after walking several miles to school and back. Made me very mindful how we take our turning on our tap for granted. I recently completed a master's in sustainability at UMass, and I saw the intersection of water, environmental justice, and corporate greed. It is wonderful we all try to conserve water. And the U.S. is only fourth in water consumption compared to pretty much first in every other kind of consumption of our resources. Unfortunately, our personal conservation doesn't make a whole lot of difference. It's not your fault. Well, it is kind of our fault, but it's complicated. And you could almost say we're a victim of circumstance. And corporations and big agriculture would love you to take the blame fully for all of this. Jensen, an activist, wrote in 2009, "Forget shorter showers." I encourage you to read his paper or watch the YouTube video of it. It's not very long. He points out 90% of water use goes to big agriculture and industry. So the real problem, apparently, is our capitalist consumer economy. We have been transformed from citizens to consumers, which is a natural evolution, but has helped separate us from the rest of the natural world. Everything here is for our extraction, to be eaten, to be worn, or consumed in other ways by us. Capitalism just isn't sustainable as we practice it. Marx said this. I know that triggers a lot of people. I'm not a Marxist, I'm not advocating revolutions at the moment of the overthrow of governments. It seems to be a touchy subject at this time. But Marx truly, if you read him, was an environmentalist. He saw that capitalism was a disconnect between business and profit and the people living in these areas that were seeing their areas and land raped and pillaged for their resources. Worldwide migration now is due to drought, flooding, and sea level rise is growing exponentially. It affects primarily our most vulnerable, spurs unrest and war, and is directly connected to human-caused climate change and a lot of our water issues. And there really is plenty of fresh water. It's not all, sometimes there's too much water, as we've seen in certain places at certain times. So climate change is, in fact, increasing the amount of water in the atmosphere as the air gets warmer and holds more moisture. The big problem is big agriculture again, and our industrial complex steal this water at the expense of us all trying to save the planet with our 3-minute showers. Nestle's is probably the best or worst example of this. They're, in my opinion, one of the worst companies in the world. Child labor, unethical promotion, manipulating uneducated mothers, pollution, price fixing, to name a few. And Nestle's is the largest producer of bottled water in the world. And they do it with total disregard for the planet or really, or any of the people in the areas they exploit. Their CEO believes water is not a right, but a need, and a need that obviously can be exploited for profit. They steal water in California, about 1 billion gallons or so per year, but nobody really knows. They dig deep wells in Pakistan and other countries in Southeast Asia, drying up access for local people, and then try to sell the water back to them. And most of their bottled water is just tap water anyway. So add false labeling to their list of sins. The Resnicks of Palm Wonderful have made a fortune on taking water rights away from small farmers and small landowners, and they use more water to grow pistachios and almonds, which I love, than this whole entire city of San Francisco uses. NGOs such as Environmental Defense Fund and Greenpeace fight this idea that water can be owned. Getting involved or donating to them is always a way to make a difference. Here in Connecticut, contact your water authority. Tell them you want meters. Meters control the amount of water being used, and to end discounts for large volume users. So you say perversely, you get a break if the more water you use. So it doesn't work in the long run. And reject bottled water. It's a huge source worldwide of discarded plastic. It's often stolen, as I said, from poor communities. I took a vow years ago never to buy any plastic water bottles. Sometimes you have to just drink beer instead. A couple people I recommend reading for some deeper stuff is Roy Scranton or William T. Volman. They just recommendations on carbon itself, the use of carbon in our planet, and also how we are shifting our world to a way where we have to just a survival mode. But also read Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Kilmer, which is a beautiful book about how we still have hope. We still can make a difference. Water is a miracle. It regulates almost all our life and our planet. I always pronounce this wrong. Aya? You know what I mean. Aya, thank you. Our bodies are 71% water. The Earth is 71% water. I dove into Palmer Cove the other day, and even in this mutilated world, I felt peace and relief from the cool, serene water that interconnects us all, as our seventh principle says. So, thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Tony really walks the talk on these issues, and he's someone in our midst who shows up to understand closely these issues that many of us understand more from an impressionistic kind of level. And so we've had interesting conversations about what that means to have that close view into how bad and mutilated this situation is, and then how to hold on to hope. And Tony has said, you've just got to keep moving. You've got to keep moving and do what you can. I prepared a little bit for this reflection at Ferry Beach, which many of you know is a UU retreat center on the beach in Maine. So I had lots of water views to inspire me. As the hymn that was written there goes, we're going to hear it during the offering, I brought my spirit to the sea. And after my spirit took in the sea some, I brought my mind to the sea, because I brought my laptop. And I Googled the natural cycle of water. I was really struck by what I learned. So Adam, if you could show this slide. So that afternoon, I was all hyped up by the bottomless free coffee that they have at Ferry Beach. And I was zeroing in on this water cycle, and I enthusiastically said to a friend, look at this picture. It's really amazing that the sun heats surfaces and causes water to evaporate and travel upwards and then condense into visible clouds that release water back to the land in precipitation, and the water gets absorbed by plants and soil and us, and the cycle starts all over again. My friend, who's known me for years, seemed baffled. Caitlin, is this new to you? Like, did you skip this class in elementary school? I mean, I knew the gist, but I really didn't know how perfectly closed the cycle of water is. And continuous and closed, it's complete on its own. Water is a constantly renewed resource. And every drop of water, Tony and I were talking about this, every drop of water on the planet now is all the water that has ever been on the planet. Blows my mind. The water cycle is a really great example of our seventh Unitarian Universalist principle. Respect the interdependent web of existence of which we are a part. As Tony said, nearly 70% of our bodies are made up of water. When we get warm and we sweat, some of our body water evaporates and rejoins the cycle through vaporization and clouds and precipitation. The plants, trees, oceans, and rivers, they do the same. They use the water and they release it back to the cycle. How cool is that? I'm mostly agnostic about whether or not there is an intelligent, creative source for this universe. That said, if I were creating Earth and wanted to make sure that water, a key building block of life, was always available, this would be a great way to design things, right? I mean, it's pretty exquisite. And if I wanted water to be consistently making its way from lakes and oceans to the dry land and the creatures that need it, I would be really pleased with myself if I came up with this roaming cloud solution. It's incredible. So for me, the water cycle is reassuring, right? Something among many things in this mutilated world is at work without our micromanaging it, and it's providing for our survival. What a debt of gratitude we owe. Scientists feel that we are unlikely to run out of water because of the water recycling system. I didn't know that. I thought taking shorter showers, as Tony mentioned, was about not running out of water as a world population. What I've learned is that it's about fresh water. 97% of the Earth's water is too salty to bathe with or drink or farm with. Only 3% is naturally fresh. As with many things on our Earth, some people are lucky enough to be born in a country where the freshwater resources are good, and others are not as lucky. Adam's going to show these top 6 countries are the top 6 countries in terms of percentage of the world's fresh water. Interesting, huh? Questions of water diplomacy abound when you look at that. What is our will to share? What is our will to be accountable? The Earth houses a web of interconnected watersheds and aquifers, and they don't recognize the distinction of nations. The water cycle's bigger than that, and we all affect it. As with the health of our ozone layer, we're all in this together. I agree with Tony, it's not really about shortening your shower. I think it's a good thing to do, and Tony does also. But it's not that we're going to run out of water otherwise, because what it really is, as I've come to understand from my exploration on the shores of Ferry Beach, is that when we use more fresh water than we need to, we're taxing the treatment systems, the systems that treat the water to make it fresh and usable. And that energy that's needed by those systems harms our ozone layer. That's kind of the more direct, the direct impact of our long showers. So during this recent dry period in Connecticut that we've been really coming into awareness about water, I learned, and I admit far too late in life, ridiculously too late in life, to plug my sink when I'm rinsing my dishes, and I have a little tub there, and then when I'm done rinsing my dishes, I pour that tub into my garden. And that's a way that I can try to keep my plants alive that I had planted this summer. That's what I call low-hanging fruit. Something we can all probably swing one way or another. I only have one garden, so it's not like I'm traipsing around my yard with buckets of water, but this was a little adjustment that I made. So we're always kind of informing ourselves and tweaking our habits and so forth as we work on our relationship with this planet. And a much bigger impact would be eating less meat. One serving of tofu takes 61 gallons of fresh water to cultivate, and that sounds like a lot to me. But one serving of hamburger takes 610 gallons of water, 10 times the amount of fresh water to produce. So these choices, they're a drop in the bucket, yes, but they're the drop we can give to the bucket. And I view that as spiritual practice. And if you're lacking in willpower, which many of us are on any given day, try to remember to bring your spirit to the sea. Be in the presence of water. When you drink it, do so mindfully, gratefully. When you watch it, do so mindfully, gratefully. Remember what it is up to. Remember what it's up to for you and me in this whole thing. And praise that. Praise that. Let's give ourselves now a little of that kind of time, a little of time with water. Adam's going to share with us a video for a time of meditation. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, siblings, let's go down, come on down. Oh, siblings, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the robe and crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, cousins, let's go down, come on down. Oh, cousins, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, fathers, let's go down, come on down. Oh, fathers, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the robe and crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, mothers, let's go down, come on down, don't you want to go down? Come on, mothers, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Amen.
We invite you into a spirit of generosity as we receive the offering for the good works of all souls. Please speak with me the words in our order of worship. We give to the work of all souls. Our work weaves the fabric of love called community. To this end, we dedicate ourselves in this our offering.
For all that you've given, for all that you've sacrificed, we thank you. Each week we pause to pay attention to the joys and sorrows that we experienced in the week just past, and we share these through our book in the lobby of All Souls, and also through email at belovedcommunity@allsouls.net, or right now in the YouTube chat during the service. I invite souls who are online today to type your intentions into the chat now. And if online folks could hold off on responding to one another until the close of the prayer, that'll help us to read the intentions. We appreciate it. Here in Unity Hall, I invite you to come forward to light a candle of intention if you wish. Let us prepare our hearts for what is shared. Carol Bunting is asking thoughts of speedy recovery for a friend in the hospital. Lynn Tavermina shares, John and I have the joy of celebrating our 42nd wedding anniversary today. Shannon Kendrick is thankful for so many kind friends who lifted me up at news of my mother's passing recently. Our thoughts are with you, Shannon. Carol Irwin shares joy and relief for John's recovery from his back surgery at home. No rehab needed, just PT and walking. Blessed be. The Sargents express gratitude for the joy of the gathering of faith formation families, All Souls families at the beach yesterday. Vanessa Hawk shares tiny joy. Today, this work-at-home mom of 2 under age 6 has the house to herself. For the first time in 880 days. Vanessa, I'm with you, Vanessa. And we are all with one another, aren't we? Aren't we? Let us enter a space of prayer and meditation. With a deep breath in and a full exhale. Let us settle into a space of reflection, of wondering, of possibility. Like the constant cycle of water, we persist in our living, in our work for survival, in our work for what is just and healthy. As we do so, may we listen for the wisdom of the water that was here long before us. We've talked about how plants and trees are our elders. Well, so is this water cycle, who tells us that life is in constant motion, and that in this constancy there are no total goodbyes. We are all in a returning, spiraling cycle. May we be reassured by this, that all is one. In this good company, let us share silence. Amen. I invite you to rise in body and or in spirit to sing our closing hymn, I've Got Peace Like a River. Wonderfully done. That was fun. So while Tony extinguishes our chalice, please speak with me the words in our order of worship. The service has ended, but our work is not yet done. May our spirits be renewed and our purpose resolved as we meet the challenges of the week. The chalice flame is extinguished until once again ignited by the strength of our communion. Whether online or here in Unity Hall, we invite you into a gesture of outreach and connection. Tony and I wish you a heartening awareness of nature's beauty and of nature's functioning. And this week, as Reverend Erica Barron says, when you are in need of refreshment or new life, may the waters be available to you. Go in peace. Let us say amen. 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 Please be seated for the postlude. So fun. Thank you, Bill. Thank you so much. So we are newly passing our hymnals to the left, for our ushers to pick them up if you have one. And a couple other announcements. Next week's service is a continuation of our Praise the Mutilated World series. Karen Ethier-Waring and Jim Mello will lead us in Praise for the Sky. And FYI, there will not be summer fun and games for children and youth next Sunday, just to keep in mind. The New London Pride Festival is August 27th, and All Souls will be tabling, and we need people to sign up for 2-hour shifts. So I have this fabulous clipboard here for anyone who may like to sign up. And the Hans Veltheim has offered to coordinate this effort, and his desire is to out-pride anyone else there. So if we can support Hans in that, one of his ideas is he wants us to give away pride cookies. So rainbow cookies and so forth. So also come up here if you're not able to show up for a 2-hour shift, but you are able to bake and drop off pride cookies. There's a spot here for you. Sue says, do you know why we have Pride in August here in New London? Because pride cometh before the fall, she says. And my last announcement is that All Souls is sponsoring a Braver Angels workshop on the internal work that we all need to do to play a part in depolarizing our country and the situation we're in. So please mark your calendars for September 13th. This is going to be a 7 to 8:30 p.m. Zoom experience. Karen? Oh. You have another announcement. Okay. This is going to be on Zoom, and we're going to be inviting our sibling UU congregations to be a part of this experience. Hi to Chris Cluette in the back. He's the chairperson for Braver Angels and a member of All Souls. He's working with me and Perry to provide this learning and engaging opportunity. So keep that in mind, and Karen has an announcement.
Building conversations on Zoom Monday night.
We're having building conversations about what our priorities should be about the building. 3, right?
There are 3.
So
This coming Monday,
one is tomorrow, right?
next Sunday.
Yeah, what time is the one tomorrow?
Tomorrow's at 6 p.m.
6 p.m., and that's on Zoom. Yes.
Newsletter.
See your newsletter, and then
And then next Sunday after service.
next Sunday after the service, you have an opportunity to linger and talk about what you believe are the priorities for the building.
And the following Tuesday here at All Souls at noon.
And the following Tuesday in person at All Souls at noon. So, yeah. So please be a part of that really important conversation. And have a beautiful Sunday. So good to see you all. Yeah. Well, it's not at All Souls.